Chelsea fans, welcome back to my channel for my second video. I released my first video on Wednesday evening. The link for that will be in the description below. If you haven't seen it, please do check it out. Been overwhelmed by the support that I've got from everyone, and by all accounts I think it's done quite well, so yeah, really pleased with that. And I thought today it would make sense for me to ask my followers on Twitter for some questions, to do a sort of Chelsea related Q&A. And I've had absolutely loads of questions. I was planning on doing it in just one video, but because of the amount of questions, which is brilliant, I will split it into two parts, I think, or maybe three parts, depending on how many come in from now. So yeah, without further ado, I'll get straight into it. There's a lot of questions, most of them to do with transfer related stuff, but a few others as well. So I'll get into it now. The first question comes from Karandar. He's asked if there's any movement on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or Malang Sarr leaving the club. As far as I'm aware, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang obviously wants to leave. He's had a bit of a nightmare 12 months at Chelsea. Hasn't played as much as he would have hoped. Obviously, he came in to work with Thomas Tuchel, and that lasted all but a week with them two together. So it's been far from ideal from him. He wants to leave. Chelsea are, really open to letting him go. He's got a year left on his deal, so they'll take sort of anything they can get for him. There was interest from Turkey and Galatasaray. I'm not sure really what's happened with that, but it's all gone a bit quiet. But yeah, he's certainly a player who will leave the club. It just remains to be seen where that will be. In January, he wanted to stay in Europe because he had offers from the MLS, but chose to stay put and try and move to somewhere else in Europe, but that didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, it's quite quiet as far as he's concerned, but I imagine there will be a deal on the table for him sooner rather than later. I can't see him being in the squad for, or anywhere near the squad for the time Chelsea take on Liverpool on the first day of the season. Malang Sarr, again, very quiet on that one. Haven't heard too much about him, and it's something I will definitely do some digging on. With a lot of these Chelsea players, because we have so many players, it's quite hard to keep track of what's going on. So Malang Sarr is someone I need to look into and see what's going on with him, because at the moment I don't have much information on him at all. Sorry, Karan, for that, but I will definitely look into it. The second question is from at CFC Will. Thanks for the question, Will. What player has the most to prove next season for Chelsea? It's a good question because there's the whole squad underperformed last season, more or less. Maybe bar a couple of players like Thiago Silva, but it was a really disappointing season. So a lot of them have a lot to prove. For some reason, the name that comes to my mind straight away is Raheem Sterling. By all accounts, he didn't have that bad of a season. I think it perhaps went under the radar how many goals he scored. He was Chelsea's top goal scorer in all competitions, albeit that's quite a low bar because of how bad the attacking line was. But I don't think it was that bad for Sterling, who, he had months on the sideline with an injury as well. But because of how good Sterling was and is before he came to Chelsea, he was a genuine and world-class talent for Manchester City, and he has been for England as well in major tournaments. I think there's still so much more to come from him, and I think Chelsea fans know that as well. It's not quite happened. The relationship between the fans and the player hasn't really taken off yet, and I think if Sterling can produce any sort of form similar to what we saw at Manchester City, at Liverpool, for England, then Chelsea fans will, they'll be quickly turned around by him, and they'll see what a fantastic player he is. So if I'm going to pick one player there, I would say Raheem Sterling, but there are a few other players that perhaps need to be mentioned as well. But yeah, Raheem Sterling for me. There are a lot of questions on Paulo Dybala, so I will just sort of answer them all at once. I haven't heard anything in terms of interest right now from Chelsea, but it was something I heard last summer that Chelsea have always liked Dybala, and there was consideration about making a move last summer, but he eventually went to Roma. So that's an interesting one, Dybala, because he's obviously liked by the club and has been even under previous ownership. And obviously, even though there has been plenty of change at Chelsea, there are still some people who are still at the club who like Dybala, and I'm sure his situation is one to keep an eye on. Felix Johnston, who I know many of you will know on Twitter, did say that he's on the list for Chelsea. Pochettino sort of recommended him. Felix is very reliable, so by all accounts, it does look like Dybala is someone being looked at by Chelsea. It's definitely one to keep an eye on, but with with all the transfer news that comes with Chelsea, that you get a new name every once in a while, and Dybala is one of them. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep an eye out for it, and I see a lot of talk about him on social media at the moment. It would certainly be a big name signing, at least for Chelsea if they did sign him. He's been a class talent for years in Italy, and we've seen him in major tournaments with Argentina play really well. So yeah, it would be exciting if he did come, but one I'll certainly do some more digging on. Next question is from at CFCDP1. He is asking, assuming Chelsea lands Caicedo, do you think they are more likely to buy another midfielder or bring one in on loan at the end of the window? It's a good question. So I heard last month, I believe it was, sort of start of June, that I've heard for a few months that Chelsea like Romeo Lavia, but they sort of started talks with Southampton last month just to sort of test the waters, see what sort of fee they would need to pay if they were to sign Lavia, to see if he's available. Basically, very normal thing to happen between two clubs. And yeah, so talks haven't advanced since then, and obviously Liverpool and Arsenal have become more involved since then, and they probably look like the two front runners at the moment for Lavia. But I'm not going to rule Chelsea out of it because they very much still like him. And as far as I understand, if Chelsea did sign Lavia, when we were talking about it about a month ago, that was going to be as well as Caicedo rather than one or the other. So that Chelsea have already sold Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They've got rid of N'Golo Kante. Jorginho went in January. Conor Gallagher's future is uncertain. Mason Mount's gone. So the midfield area is definitely an area that needs addressing, and there will definitely be one midfielder coming in for the end of the summer, whether that's Moises Caicedo or not. I think it probably will be, but that remains to be seen. But I could definitely see Chelsea, going out and buying another midfielder, especially if they can get this Caicedo deal done, sooner rather than later, so it doesn't drag on all through the summer, because otherwise, it might not give Chelsea that big of a chance to go out and sign someone else, and they might force them into a bit of a panic, as we saw with Dennis Zakaria last summer when he was signed on deadline day. It sort of came out of nowhere, and I don't think that's really a good look for the club. So yeah, I think there'll probably be two midfielders, definitely one. Next question is from Jim Fay, and he's asked, do you think Chelsea will go for a new winger this window? With Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi leaving, we only have 3 left. It's a very similar question to what a lot of people have asked, so I'll try and sort of sum it up in one. Chelsea are still exploring attacking targets. I mentioned the other day about Ryan Cherky. He's someone who he plays more as an attacking midfielder, but he has been used on the right and left for Lyon, so he's a versatile player and someone who could slot into the left wing or right wing roles if needed. He's one of many names that Chelsea are looking at. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the names. Otherwise, my job would be a lot easier. Ryan Cherky is definitely someone Chelsea are looking at. So it does look like they're looking at attacking reinforcements as well. Hudson-Odoi, by all accounts, looks like he's going to leave. He has told Chelsea that he does want to leave. He's got interest from the Premier League. Nottingham Forest are interested in signing him after his loan spell at Bayer Leverkusen. Pulisic looks set for AC Milan, and there's even been talk about Hakim Ziyech today, and his move to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia could still be on, despite complications, so to speak, during his medical there the other day. So Chelsea are looking to sell all of these players, but it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if they go out and buy another winger, because when you look at the squad now, you got Sterling, Mudryk, Madueke, who are like the 3 out-and-out wingers. Then you've got Nkunku, who can obviously play there. He sort of played all across the front line. And then you're looking at youngsters, sort of. So it's gone from Chelsea having a load of wingers to perhaps not that many. But I guess that was always going to be the case with the squad clear out. If Chelsea were going to replace every single player they sold, then they'd be no closer to reducing the size of the squad for Pochettino, which was, is the plan. So yeah, I do think we could see like one attacking mid / winger signed before the end of the window. Whether that's someone under the age of 20 or whatever, it remains to be seen. But it wouldn't surprise me because that's sort of the direction Chelsea have been heading in recently. The next question is from at @ChelseaReport_. Do you think Chelsea will go for a number one goalkeeper or a backup to Kepa? A good question. I personally believe they're going for a number one. That's what I've been told. They've inquired about Mike Maignan from AC Milan, but were kind of, don't want to say put off, but definitely had to take a step back after because of sort of how much AC Milan were demanding for him. It was way higher than they're willing to pay. But Maignan, being one of the top goalkeepers in Europe, he wasn't gonna. If he did move to Stamford Bridge, and he wasn't going to be the number 2 choice. So that strikes that Chelsea are going for a number one. Andre Onana too from Inter Milan. Manchester United seem to be ahead of everyone at the moment. Fabrizio Romano is reporting that they've made multiple bids for Onana, and by all accounts it looks like United probably will get their man eventually. And he's also got interest in Saudi Arabia, but Chelsea do really like him, so it wouldn't surprise me all that much if they came in with a bid of their own, trying to up United, so to speak, because they do really like Onana and he's been on the club's radar for a long time now. And I was told literally earlier today that Chelsea have watched the Georgian goalkeeper, whose name I'm going to try and pronounce now, Merab Mamadashvili. I probably definitely butchered that. But he's 22 years old, number one for Valencia, and very highly rated. The only problem for Chelsea is Bayern Munich are also in for him, which you've sort of come to expect when it's a young goalkeeper who's impressing in La Liga. But Chelsea watched him on multiple occasions last season for Valencia, including in a match against Real Madrid, where Valencia won 1-0 back in May, and he was key in that win. He made, I think he made 5 saves, but by all accounts they were quite good saves to deny Real Madrid. And yeah, Chelsea really impressed with what they've seen from him, so it's definitely one to keep an eye on. But there's nothing concrete in terms of being close to a deal being done for any of these goalkeepers, unfortunately. And it wouldn't surprise me all that much if Kepa Arrizabalaga was the man that Pochettino calls upon when Chelsea take on Liverpool next month. I'll do a couple more questions for this part of the video. Yeah, like I said, there'll be multiple parts out after because I got a lot of questions to get through. This one's from Carefree and Kunku. His name's Max. Hi, Max. Chances of signing Kolo Muani this summer / Ivan Toney in January after his ban. Right, so I'll focus more on Ivan Toney because it's what I know. Don't know too much on Kolo Muani in terms of Chelsea's interest, so I'll leave that. I'm sure like there is a chance they might be interested in him. I'm not sure what others reported, but it's not something I know on. But with Ivan Toney, I actually do know quite a bit, so I'll speak about that. Chelsea very much like Toney. I don't really know where they stand now because of his 8-month ban for the betting. He's someone who Chelsea have watched for a while now, and he's lit up the Premier League since he's been at Brentford, since they've been promoted. And Chelsea were genuinely considering making an offer either last summer or this summer for him, but then the allegations of the ban came up, and it sort of made Chelsea step back and assess the situation, because do you really want to go out and spend big money on an England international? Brentford could demand big money before all this happened anyway for him, and then there's a chance he's going to miss pretty much the whole season, or at least half of it in this case. So yeah, Chelsea obviously stepped back and they did the wise thing with not making a move, but it'll be interesting to see what Toney's like when he comes back, in terms of is he going to be able to replicate the sort of form he was showing last season for Brentford, because 8 months is a long time to be out, and it's going to take him a while to get back into to be match ready. Obviously, he's going to be keeping himself fit with what he can do, because obviously he's banned from all football activities. But it'll be difficult for him to sort of step back into the Brentford team and be as electric as he was last season. So I think Chelsea will definitely keep an eye on him. I can't really see a January move for him because, like I said, I think it's something that needs to be assessed. It's almost like a new. It's kind of like a player getting over a long-term injury, isn't it? And being out for so long and seeing how they come back to it. So I guess I'll approach it in the same manner as they would for that sort of situation. But yeah, I mean, Toney is someone really liked at Chelsea, and I understand as well he would have been open to move into Chelsea because he was going to seek a move this summer. If the if all that's happened didn't happen. Final question of the video now comes from at Aubrey J469. It's actually on Threads, which I joined earlier today, being Thursday. It came out. It's meant to be like an alternative to Twitter with everything that's going on with Twitter at the moment. So I will leave my link in the description to Threads below. Please do follow me on it because I'll be posting a lot more on there. Sort of over the next few weeks, some exclusive content as I would be on Twitter. So yeah, make sure to follow me on that. But the latest on Moises Caicedo, unfortunately, not like a major update, I suppose. But I was told earlier today that Chelsea are preparing a bid for Caicedo. I mean, it's almost inevitable now because they've reopened talks with Brighton and sort of trying to gauge each other, the two clubs, in terms of Brighton want to know what Chelsea are willing to pay. How they'll do it, and Chelsea want to find out where Brighton's weaknesses in negotiations could be, I suppose. And Brighton want sort of in excess of £80 million for Caicedo, while Chelsea aren't, put off by that price tag. They haven't walked out of like negotiations. They're still very much in the race for him, and just still very much want Caicedo to be a Chelsea player. They're just taking their time with it. They're trying to come up with a plan of how they'll convince Brighton to sell by including multiple instalments, add-ons, bonuses, whatever it may be. To try and sign Caicedo. They've done very well at doing that ever since Todd Bowley and Bedad Egbadi came to a club, really. So yeah, look, Caicedo is still very much on. I suppose there's quite a lack of noise with it, negotiations at the moment, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because sometimes the quieter the better, and in this case it might be. I wouldn't be worried. Chelsea fans, journalists aren't really getting briefed too much information at the moment, including myself, on the situation. But I don't think that's necessarily a worry. I do think Moises Caicedo will be a Chelsea player by the end of the transfer window. I don't think it will be quick. I think it will be one that drags on, unfortunately. And, I'll be having this conversation with you countless more times between now and the end of the summer transfer window. But look, I think remain calm. We saw similar sort of stuff happen with Enzo Fernandez, I guess, in January, and Chelsea got it done right at the last minute. So hopefully it's not as dramatic as that for everyone's sake, but I do think Moises Caicedo will be wearing a Chelsea shirt. By the time the transfer window ends, he wants to join Chelsea. The verbal agreement is there. Nothing's signed yet, but the verbal agreement is there, and that's very important. It's just now, finding the agreement, the compromise with Brighton to sort of get this deal over the line. Anyway, guys, that's all we're going to have time for today. Like I said, thank you so much for all your questions. It's absolutely brilliant. And please do leave any questions you have on this video or anything in the comment section below. I will upload again over the next few days the second part to this with answering more of your questions because there are absolutely loads. Yeah, I don't know how many parts it's going to be because, like I said, there's over like 70, I think, right now, and they're still getting replies now. So it could be, a 3 or 4 parter. But yeah, I'll keep letting you guys know. If you could like the video, I'm new to YouTube, so that'd be great. Just to show your support, and please do subscribe to the channel. To get notifications every time I do upload. And yeah, until next time, guys, have a good one, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.